You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
You ever hear of test driving a phone network? Well, US Cellular is letting you test drive their nationwide 5G for free. Try out US Cellular wherever you have spotty service. Your commute to work, that one spot in your house where your service dips. It's as easy as doing a little beep boop pop boop pop with your phone. That's the buttons. That's the noise they make. Anyways, test drive US Cellular's nationwide 5G coverage for free for 30 days. Just download the Try Us app. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com/try us. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident panelist, as always, Ryan Schlip. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_dat. All right, so just kind of ripping through some different things. I've had this one in the pipeline for quite a while. Carter Donick. I feel like I know the name, but I don't know exactly who he is or what he does. He doesn't say any of that. He just says, Bird app professional volume tweeter football content. I also see that he's followed by Velus Jones, so maybe he's a Bears guy. I have no idea. Doesn't matter. He put together a little chart here. It says, using SIS charting, I weighted and combined 22 different quarterback statistics on, number one, third and fourth down within 14-point games, and, number two, any down in the fourth quarter within 10 points to calculate a relative quote-unquote clutch score of quarterbacks in 2023. So he has what he calls a weighted Z-score. It's a proprietary scoring system. Again, 22 metrics that he weighted. Now, we're kind of trusting his ability to weight these things, what's more important, what's less important. We'll get into that in a little bit. But it's interesting nonetheless, primarily because Jordan Love is quite high on this list. According to the list, and again, the weights, the numbers aren't necessarily important because I don't know exactly how to quantify them. But Dak Prescott was number one. Then Jared Goff, then C.J. Stroud, then Jalen Hurts, then Jordan Love. Now, first of all, obviously there's going to be some, it looks like C.J. Stroud is bad, it looks like Dak is, but it looks like Jalen Hurts. First of all, yeah, really good freaking quarterbacks. Jordan Love is still number 5. Second of all, remember, what we're specifically talking about is being clutch. We're only looking at late down situations when you're within 14 points of a game. The reason is because third and fourth down is clutch no matter what, assuming the game is within reach. And then the secondary thing is any down when you're in the fourth quarter and you're within 10 points of winning a game, because any situation there is considered clutch, right? So that was how he came up with clutch situations. There's definitely different ways that you can do that. But first of all, top 5 in that category is incredible. But beyond that, think about who didn't get listed. Yes, Dak is higher. Yes, Stroud is higher. Yes, Goff and Hurts are higher. And by the way, zero issue being 5th behind some of the top quarterbacks in football, especially, you say, well, Dak isn't. He had an unbelievable year last year. It was probably an anomaly. I don't know. But there's no denying he was an elite quarterback last year. But that would mean Jordan Love is ahead of Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Kirk Cousins, Matt Stafford, Kyler Murray, for those that feel like he's a good quarterback, Joe Burrow, Tua, where is he here? Lamar Jackson. A lot of these guys actually ranked quite low. He puts the asterisk in there that these are just passing stats. SIS does that, where they have passing, they have each thing they don't do a good job of allowing you to blend different things. You have to actually click on each individual person, which I did that. I forgot what we just did recently, but I had to go through individually each person. Oh, it was when we did the MVP thing. I had to click on each quarterback and actually get their total thing, whatever. But it's a cool tool. I just wish they were a little bit more flexible with that stuff. But either way, Lamar Jackson's near the bottom. Tua's near the bottom. Joe Burrow is 20th. Matt Stafford is 15th. And so you kind of start to wonder about these, because, at the end of the day, there are questions about how, I don't want to say anybody can be good when the situation is good because that's not necessarily true, but you try to normalize things, right? Certain quarterbacks have better situations. They have better offensive lines, wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, coaches, play callers, easier opponents, whatever. But this would be kind of a way of normalizing things and saying, things suck. You're now losing. You're behind the 8 ball. Time's running out. You have to do something. You have to be the one to step up and make a play. Who did it? Some of these really positive stats that you'll see from, I'll pick on Patrick Mahomes, or Josh Allen might even be a better one, is piling on. Now, granted, you have to get yourself to a position where you're up 21 by halftime or whatever, but the entire second half is you just laying it on a defense that gave up. So, when you start talking about actually quantifying things, and, you mentioned that, this is where film is better than statistics because you're actually watching and you can see situationally and you can see how things actually unfolded, and that's somewhat true. But this is a good way to do it statistically, starting to kind of quantify things a little bit, sort of normalizing different situations, under pressure, 3rd down, 4th down, when you're losing, even when you're ahead by a small margin. I mean, do some guys kind of cash it in? Be especially interesting for a lot of teams that lose those 1-score games. Look at the quarterback. What is he doing in those situations? But I figure since we have access to it, rather than just sort of blindly trusting what he's saying, why don't we just go ahead and look at different situations and see where Jordan excels and maybe where he does not. Also keep in mind, he didn't say from week 9 on. This is the entire year. So just throwing that out there. Granted, I don't know if choosing week 9 on is actually going to benefit anything, because remember how good he was in the second half of games even early? Just saying. So for starters, I'm actually going to switch it up a little bit. I'm looking at 4th quarter or overtime. Actually, I should get rid of overtime. Well, no, it doesn't matter. It'll differentiate itself because whatever. With a score differential of -10 to 6. And I say -10 to 6 because if you're in the 4th quarter and you're up by 6, or even 7 really, but up by 6, let's just say, you're still having a heart attack, right? You don't feel like you're winning because all it takes is 1 touchdown and you're losing. So it's just, it's critical that you perform well. And I can tell because my intestines are telling me as they tie themselves in knots that this is not a time to relax. What's funny too, and it's actually kind of an interesting dive into, especially those that are skeptical of Brock Purdy. I'm trying to find first thing I always want to do is find a cutoff. So they have a filter for minimum pass attempts. So I'm kind of going down and I'm like, all right, well, Ryan Tannehill, he's ranks, 35th or whatever in attempts, and he has 39. And then after that, you got PJ Walker, you got Trevor Siemian, whatever. So I'll just set it at 36 or 39, because then you just got Ryan Tannehill and everybody else above. I keep going down. I'm like, all right, Mitch Trubisky, don't care. And then there's Brock Purdy with 28. Anthony Richardson has 22. Anthony Richardson played like 3 games. How does Brock Purdy play an entire season and have only 28 attempts in clutch situations and 4th down? Just saying. But I guess we'll do 28 to include Brock Purdy. Deshaun Watson's at 15. I just don't give a crap, all right? I just want Brock Purdy just to see if he does well or not. I could not care any less if Deshaun Watson is included. All right, so we've got how many quarterbacks? We've got 40 quarterbacks. That's more than enough. For the entire season, how many passes were catchable? Jordan Love ranks 27th out of 40. 79.3% were catchable. What about on target? 23rd, 69.6. Remember, accuracy was always his issue, especially early on in the season, right? His completion percentage was really low, and a large part of that, yes, everybody wants to blame drops. A lot of it had to do with errant passes. Again, he got better at it. He was never, a top 5 completion percentage guy, but it was a serious struggle. Adjusted net yards per attempt, 22nd. He ranks 22nd with 4.8. Actually, just behind Zach Wilson. But ahead of Lamar Jackson, so figure that one out. Touchdown percentage, it gets better at 15th. Interception percentage, 32nd. 5.1% interception percentage. Passer rating, he ranks 30th. with a 67.9 passer rating. Not going to lie, this is kind of awful. I don't know if it's just that +6 that makes that big of a difference or what. Points earned per play, 21st. Points above average per play, 21st. EPA, 17th. Positive play percentage, 18th. Wins above replacement, 18th. Boom percentage, 10th. It's about the highest we've seen. Bust percentage, 19th. All right, so let's do week 9 just for the heck of it. Let's look in the period that we actually care about as Packer fans and see how he did in this specific clutch situation. Remember, this is any down, first, second, third, fourth, in the fourth quarter or overtime, in which you have a score differential of -10, meaning you're losing by 10, or winning by 6. That's the range. And look at this. I forgot to look at Brock Purdy in that. This is crazy to me. So, from week 9 on, do you know how many times Jordan Love was in a situation in the fourth quarter where you were between -10 and 6? It was actually the second most, 63. Behind Jordan Love is Patrick Mahomes at 55. So he was in this situation a ton. A ton. You know how many times Brock Purdy was in this situation? I'm gonna give you a minute here. I'm going to give you a minute. Think about it. Once. One time. From week 9 through the end of the regular season, only one time did he throw a pass in the fourth quarter or overtime where they were losing by 10 or winning by less than 7. One time. That's freaking crazy. But I'm going to set it at, I don't know, man, 15, I guess. Catchable. Jordan Love is up to 16th. Again, much higher, but still not great. On target, he's up to 12th. Adjusted net yards per attempt, he's 11th. Touchdown percentage, 21st. Interception percentage, 18th. Passer rating, he is 17th. If you look at the values here, points earned per play, 20th. Points above average per play, 19th. EPA, 12th. You know, EPA being cumulative, so if he obviously was in that situation more often, obviously he's going to be higher. Still 12th, which is not super great. Positive play percentage, he's 21st. Wins above replacement, he's 13th. Boom percentage, he's 16th. Bust percentage, 16th. So still not the greatest. So if you're asking the question, who do you want in these situations? Remember we talked about that with Rodgers all the time, where it was like, of all the quarterbacks that you want, fourth quarter, down by whatever. And we can change, I'll change it here next. We'll just go to we'll assume you're losing. We'll go -1 to -10 or something. But who do you want in that situation? So let's change it real quick. I'm going to drop overtime just because there might be some weird variables in there. And then I'm going to make it -1 to -10. Just before we move on to something else, I just want to clarify this. Take out as many variables as I possibly can. All right. I'll just set it at 10 attempts being the minimum. That gives us 41 quarterbacks to look at. So out of 41, this is unbelievable. Catchable percentage, Jordan Love is 3rd. He must just be terrible when we have a very slim margin of victory, because that's crazy. We'll go through the rest, though, before we make any sweeping proclamations. He's 5th best in on-target percentage. Adjusted net yards per attempt, he drops to 16th. Touchdown percentage, 15th. Interception percentage. The problem with this is some of these are so few, so touchdown and interception percentage is going to be really big or really small, depending on if you've ever done it. But he's 28th. Passer rating, 16th. If we look at values on a per-play basis, points earned per play, he's 26th, so still not very good. Points above average per play, 26th. EPA, the cumulative one, he's 16th because he's done it more than most people. Positive play percentage, 24th. Wins above replacement, 23rd. Boom percentage, 15th. Bust percentage, 31st. So from my own observations, just looking at this situation, which is a big part of it, right? It's fourth quarter. You're down, you're within striking distance. If you ask me, is Jordan Love the guy you want? The answer is not really. And by the way, they said Lamar was really terrible on a points earned per play, and this is just passing. Lamar Jackson's number one. If we do points above replacement, which might be a little bit better, gives us a better list of quarterbacks. You got Dak, then Justin Herbert, then Geno, then Stroud, then Jake Browning, then Baker, Lamar, Ritter. Again, a lot of this is small sample size, but Drew Lock, Kenny Pickett, Josh Dobbs, blah, 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 blah. A lot of bad quarterbacks, and then you go way down, and Jordan Love is 26th. I think that is part of the issue, is that it's, in some ways, it's really small sample size. So if you step out, and again, there is a minimum of 10 passes, but 10 passes could be one drive. And so you do one drive that ends in a touchdown, and you are probably the best in this situation. Wonder if we jacked up the attempts, where you got to have at least 30. That's only going to give us 11 quarterbacks. But just out of curiosity, catchable percentage, Jordan Love is number one. On target percentage, Jordan Love is number one. Adjusted net yards per attempt, he's 5th out of 11. Passer rating, he is 6th out of 11. So it's kind of the same thing again. The accuracy goes up. But everything else, he's 8th out of 11 in points earned per play, above average per play. EPA, he's 5th. So yeah, it's the exact same thing. He kind of drops after that. So yeah, I can't twist this in any which way, even including during his really good period, to demonstrate that he was really clutch in needed clutch situations. I have no idea. The other thing is he looked at other situations such as all quarters and 3rd and 4th down. So why don't we take a break? We'll look at that real quick and see if maybe that's where he shined, which makes sense because remember, I even said I've never seen 3rd downs look so easy. Now, I'm speaking before I even look at it, but it would make sense to me. And I honestly, I think that has a lot to do with Matt LaFleur, but we'll take a look at it after the break. We'll be right back. You ever hear of test driving a phone network? Well, US Cellular is letting you test drive their nationwide 5G for free. Try out US Cellular wherever you have spotty service. Your commute to work, that one spot in your house where your service dips. It's as easy as doing a little beep boop pop boop pop with your phone. That's the buttons. That's the noise they make. Anyways, test drive US Cellular's nationwide 5G coverage for free for 30 days. Just download the Try Us app. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com/try us. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. You know, my son started collecting football cards. I had no idea what the heck I was doing, so I went out and bought him one of those binders you put all the cards in and all that kind of stuff. Turns out, card collecting has come a long way since when I was a kid, and that's what people did. Now, there is a new way to buy, sell, and trade cards. It's called Arena Club. Whether you're buying, selling, trading, or displaying, Arena Club is the all-in-one trading card platform that you have to sign up for. Over at arenaclub.com/packdaddy. We actually did a whole YouTube video about this. I would encourage you to check it out. It is a fantastic website. You can, as I said, you can buy, trade, sell, but also you can display all of your cards right there on the platform. It gives you all of the grading. They'll even grade your cards. Their grading combines AI as well as human grading to get the most accurate grading of all your cards. And right now, you can get 10% off your first purchase by going to arenaclub.com/packdaddy. That's arenaclub.com/packdaddy for 10% off your first purchase. All right, so I think it would make sense. I'm not going to do it because I want to try to see what Connor or Carter or whatever saw, but I think it would make sense to kind of adjust it a little bit as far as yards to go. And maybe even, score differential a little bit, but maybe not. But for example, if it's 4th and 30, I mean, come on. Or even like 4th and 1, I don't know. I mean, Granted, they're all passing plays, so it's 4th and 1 and you threw it. It still matters. But we'll just leave it as it is. So 3rd or 4th down. Is that what he said? No, what did he say? Well, he said 3rd or 4th down within 14-point games. That's what we're going to look at. So 14-point game, I'm taking that to mean either winning or losing by 14. 3rd or 4th down, any quarter. If I leave minimum pass attempts at 30, that gives me 35 quarterbacks. I think that's fine. All right, here we go. Catchable percentage. Jordan Love, 13th. On target, Jordan Love is 18th. Adjusted net yards per attempt, he's 3rd. So this is better. This is less accuracy, but adjusted net yards per attempt is one of the metrics that's like, this tells you how good the guy is. So there you go. Behind only Dak and Brock. Touchdown percentage, he's number 1, 11.7%. Interception percentage, he's obviously tied for number 1. I don't even need to sort it because it's 0. Which is really impressive. 3rd and 4th down within a 14-point game. This is week 9 on, by the way. I forgot to change that, but I'm not going to because that's what's relevant in my mind. Didn't throw a single interception in these situations. In fact, how many does that apply to? We've got 8 different guys that applies to. Nobody threw anywhere near as many attempts as Jordan. Jalen Hurts was the next closest. So Jordan did this 94 times. He was in this situation. 3rd or 4th down within 14 points, 94 times. Actually, I was wrong. It's Patrick Mahomes, 78, Jalen, 64. But you also got some guys like Easton Stick, 36, Zach Wilson, 34, that are included in that didn't throw a pick. So just saying. Passer rating, Jordan Love, number 1. What else we got here? Let's go over to the values. Points earned per play, 2nd behind only Dak. EPA, he's number 1. Positive play percentage, he's number 2 behind Brock Purdy. Wins above replacement, he is number 1. Boom percentage, he's number 1, 45.5%. Boom percentage meaning it's a big play. So almost 50% of the time he's hitting a big play, which actually makes sense because big play just means like high value play, and if you convert a first down, that's probably going to be a big play. Bust percentage, he is 5th. So the 5th lowest bust percentage, 32.7%. Hurts, Nick Mullins, Tommy DeVito, and Dak Prescott are the only ones. Dak is really the only one that was kind of close as far as attempts. He had 81. Again, Jalen 64. The other guys are 30s and 40s. So easy to see when you look at Carter Donick's scale here. For Jordan anyways, like he was 5th overall. This is split into 2 categories. 4th down, game on the line. Unfortunately, he was actually kind of bad. I guess by bad, I mean he was kind of middle of the pack. But when you get to the middle of the pack, you're talking about not good quarterbacks. He's not in good company. However, just 3rd or 4th down, any quarter, maybe the best quarterback in football. Take the good with the bad, I suppose. And the fact of the matter is, there were significantly more 3rd and 4th down situations than there were, within 1 score in the 4th down, in the 4th quarter. Not that it's less relevant, but this is how you score points, is you convert 3rds and 4ths. If you find yourself in a situation where you're, down by 6, despite converting all those 3rds and 4ths, unfortunately, then yeah, Jordan and Matt LaFleur need to get better in those situations. But like I said, as much as I give Matt LaFleur a lot of the credit for those 3rds and 4th downs, I also give Matt LaFleur a good portion of the blame for not being able to pull out of those sort of clutch situation, tailspin, situations. Is also, even in the second half of last year, a young team trying to find its way. It was constantly rotating out injured and healthy players. So, this is what we're seeing is what the Packers see. Goal line situations, 4th down situations, 3rd down, close game, all these different situations and where we succeeded and what we did well and where we succeeded and what we need to improve on. And so I'm sure they've been, back in the lab working on different things. Obviously, having Christian Watson back will be a massive service. Just having the field stretcher there. Having Luke Musgrave back is going to benefit similarly, having him as a sort of tight end version of a field stretcher, not only as receiving options, but just being able to move chess pieces around and get guys open like Dontavian Wicks and Romeo Doubs and Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft. And I'm sure a lot of the decisions that they made and moves that they made are as a result of that. We went out and got a different style of running back and studying other teams and what they do and how they succeed. And the positive thing is when you have a coach, and this is up to each one of us to decide whether we're in this category or not, but I absolutely respect Matt LaFleur. I absolutely believe in Jordan Love. If you've got a really good and intelligent coach that can figure these things out and you have a really talented quarterback that can execute these things, there's really nothing to worry about. It's just a matter of figuring it out. But I still wanted to go through and kind of look at it with my own eyes rather than just seeing it blindly and just accepting it. I'm glad I did. Sad I did, but glad I did. All right, let's move on to phase 2. Josh Jacobs did an interview with Yahoo Sports, and thought it'd be interesting to kind of get to know the new running back of the Green Bay Packers, Josh Jacobs, the new superstar running back of the Green Bay Packers, I might add. And so why don't we go ahead and dive into it right out of the gate. First question is, how has that transition been from, Las Vegas to Green Bay?
Honestly, it hasn't really been a big adjustment, man. That's what everybody asks me, but I'm pretty boring dude, man. Like I kind of tend to stay in the house most of the time. So like for me, it don't feel too much different. It's good to see green again, be able to see the trees and things like that. And the people are really nice out here. So I've been enjoying it so far.
It's funny. Everybody asks him that. Why does everybody ask him that? This is the same thing we talked about for a million, especially media people. These people that all live in cities because they choose to live in cities because they have a feeling that cities are better than smaller areas. They tend to enjoy it more. And they assume that everybody feels that way. Right? This is the whole premise behind, number one, why the draft is going to suck next year. It's not because there's not enough space. That's nonsense. Nobody wants to go, not nobody. A lot of people want to go to Green Bay. These people don't want to go to Green Bay. But it's also behind this idea that no free agent would ever choose to go there. So he's asked that because the assumption is you go from the greatest place on earth, right? Oh, the casinos and there's the best nightlife in the world in Vegas to this horrible podunk, backwoods, racist, disgusting swamp, garbage, putrid, pukey, nasty trash dump of a town. How's that been for you? His answer? It's been fine. It's not really different because I don't tend to go out very much. It's nice to see grass again, aside from a cement jungle, which is what it is in Vegas. Outside of that is a desert. And then he says what everybody hates to hear, the people in Green Bay are really nice. Ugh, that's just gotta... Ugh. No, they're horrible people. They hate you. They're not nice. Again, that's such a blown out of proportion thing. Nobody would ever want to go to Green Bay. It's horrible there. It's awful. It's cold and it's terrible. There's nothing to do. It's boring. Bro, what do you do all day? Would love to know what these people are doing all day. Do you live in New York and you just got $1 million budget and you just go out and do whatever you want? Just going out enjoying the nightlife? Go out to steakhouses and go see the opera? I can't imagine. I mean, again, I said this before. I am easily within driving distance of a lot of things in Madison and Milwaukee. Do you know how often I go do those things? 0 times. I don't want to. Anyways, next question, was the free agency process nerve-wracking?
Yeah, man. I mean, believe it or not, I try to make it work. I try to make it work. But when when I went into making the decision, I kind of already knew where I wanted to go and where I wanted to play. Being able to have the opportunity to make that, that goal a reality, has been awesome.
So just to be clear, because that's kind of not only does that add to the previous point, but just by itself, I mean, that's a cool state. That's every fan base wants to hear that. Every fan base wants to hear, look, I would love to go to Green Bay. I'm going to try to make it work, but man, I'd love to be in Green Bay. He knew all along that's where he wanted to be. That's such a cool thing. It doesn't ultimately make that big of a difference. We've got Bears fans on our team. Jaden Reed's a Bears fan. I forget who else it was, Tucker or something. Somebody's a Bears fan. And Luke, I thought it was one of the tight ends, maybe not. But it's just a little extra nice if somebody says, I grew up a Packers fan, and then you draft them, Or somebody has been begging to go to Green Bay, and then we go get them. But next question, obviously, is why Green Bay? Why did you said you wanted to go there. Why'd you want to go there?
One of my all-time favorite coaches, But one.
So what was it about Green Bay that really enticed you?
Coach Bisaccia, one of my all-time favorite coaches. Texting not about sports or anything like that, but we just text like throughout the year when he was gone, just checking on me, how's the fam, stuff like that. And then Keyshawn used to always hit me up about coming to play, like literally all the time, about getting out here and how much I would like it out here and how it would fit me well. And then, coming out here and then being able to actually experience the guys and, the people in the building, I'm like, yeah, okay, I can understand what you mean.
So this is another aspect, too, of, we've heard players talk about coming here and really experiencing how different it can be, right? They're in disaster areas and they don't realize it. And it doesn't get much worse than the Raiders situation. I mean, when you look at how mismanaged that has been, obviously you got some other competing ones like Washington and whatnot, but I mean, it's brutal. It's a terribly run organization. The coaching situation was a disaster. The head coach was awful. Everybody on planet Earth, aside from that organization that decided to hire him, knew that was a disastrous hire. It was a disaster from day one. The locker room obviously suffered as a result. I mean, I think they mostly stuck together, but it's just a disaster. And then you come over here, and it's good for a lot of reasons, and it's credit to a lot of people. It's credit to Matt LaFleur. It's credit to Brian Gutekunst. It's a credit to the players themselves. And he didn't necessarily elaborate, but I mean, you can kind of put two and two together, especially from where he came from. Number one, it's an organized organization. They know what they're doing. These are professionals that are very good at what they do. Number two is the culture, which is a credit to all layers, right? Gutekunst for making sure we have the right people, whether it's from drafting, free agency, or expelling people that should not be here. From Matt LaFleur for cultivating, and for the players for buying in and for just being who they are. They were brought here for a reason, and it's because of who they are. And so you come here and you've got this group of highly motivated young people, which Josh Jacobs is another one of them. And they're really talented, and they're being put in a position to succeed by other people at higher levels that are really good at their job. And things feel organized and regimented in a way that makes sense. And there's buy-in and there's excitement and there's all. And again, you come from the Raiders where everything's just a complete disaster, right? You're in this beautiful multi-billion-dollar facility. It's beautiful locker rooms and beautiful scenery outside and all that, but it's hollow, right? There's nothing there. It's a bad football team with bad coaches and bad GMs just being placed onto this beautiful field. But again, it's hollow. And you go to Green Bay and it's the opposite. Not that there isn't beauty in it, but it's a stadium in a neighborhood. It's not a spaceship in the middle of a beautiful city. Or a disgusting city, depending on how closely you look at Vegas, zoomed in or zoomed out. But there's some real good football playing in there. But why don't we take our next break? We'll come back and finish up this interview with Josh Jacobs speaking to Yahoo Sports. Next question, what are your first impressions of Jordan Love?
All day I've been getting questions about him, man, and I try to talk him up as much as I can. I think he's legit going to be the next, superstar quarterback in this league. I like the way that he just goes about his business on a day-to-day, whether it's in the locker room or in the huddle, how he demands that respect. And, he comes in as a leader. And, he's willing to carry that captain on his chest, and he carry the team on his chest. With that being said, he also has all the ability, to really be something special. I seen him make a throw at practice where he was running to the right and he threw it about 50 yards across his body, all the way back to the left side of the field, and it just kind of looked effortless. And I was like, yeah, that's what I kind of do. I was like, yeah, this dude is good. This dude is going to be good.
Next question is more or less, how do you balance being a leader, sort of a veteran, especially compared to the young guys, while also being the new guy in town?
They didn't make it hard at all. Yeah, they didn't make it hard at all. I mean, when I came in, a lot of the younger guys, they kind of just gravitated towards me. You know, a lot of them, you know, they already respected, you know, the things that I've done in this league. And a lot of them, man, believe it or not, they want to get better. So a lot of them have a lot of questions about what it takes, or what do I do, or how do I view certain things. And I think that's been the most fun thing coming in, just to be able to be around a group of guys that's hungry on all sides of the field. Like the defense, every time they see me, the defenders, they just start like doing juke moves and stuff. Like the stuff that we was doing at practice that I got a couple guys on. They like, yeah, bro, we gonna be something serious this year.
And again, that goes back to, and it sounds stupid to just say, that goes back to the fact that, you know, it's a group of guys that want it. It's a group of guys that are hungry and are working hard to be better. It's like, these are professional football players, of course, but it's not. Believe it or not, there are people that have spent their entire lives making themselves as good as they can possibly be, and they get paid and they take it easy. It's not to say they don't train. It's not to say they don't go through a regimen or go through a routine, but there are situations, and we've seen it in Green Bay. I always go back to 2017, where people don't come in and they start talking to each other and like, oh man, what did you see? And you got veterans that come in and they sit in their locker and they change and they go home. They're not, first of all, they're certainly not going to lower themselves to asking some young guy who's 25-year-old Josh Jacobs or whatever, you know, hey, what did you see on that? And how do you do this and that and that? You know, Clay Matthews wasn't going to David Bakhtiari and he's like, hey man, let's work on our technique, and let's you know, I'll come over later, or we can go outside. Dude, Bakhtiari was going to go hang out with the rest of the O-line playing board games and drinking beers, and Clay Matthews is going to go out and probably go back home and have a bunch of ladies blowing up his phone, you know? You got to remember, these are multimillionaires, man. These are guys that are living the high life. And at some point, you just become bigger than football, I think, for some people. You know, when you're out with celebrities and you're out with politicians and you're out with these $100,000 a plate dinners and you're whining and dining, and then you go back into this dingy, stinky locker room with a bunch of young guys that are like, oh, teach me how to play football. And it's like, bro, figure it out, dude. I don't know. I'm just trying to think how much longer I want to do this and collect paychecks before I can just get out and be a full-time millionaire living that life, you know? So bottom line, it's not just automatic. Next one, what advice would you give to young running backs? It's relevant because we've got one on the team.
I would say be very smart and very calculated in everything that you do. You know, and I will also say expand your game a little bit. Focus on being very like a 3-down back where you in the whole time. And you're being able to do everything at a high level, because right now for our position, those are the only guys that's going to get paid. But not only that, just understanding the business side, like, you know, obviously we feel like, you know, we do so much for our team, and, you know, we do everything on the field except throw the ball, basically. And so, you know, we feel like we should, you know, obviously get compensated in a certain type of way. But I just feel like, you know, just learn the business, learn, you know, yourself, learn your body, and just make smart decisions. So however it go, that you won't look back and feel like you regretted it.
Anyways, the final question was geared at Alabama and college and whatnot, so we'll go ahead and skip that. But thought it was good to hear all that stuff. There was an additional comment made. I don't know exactly where. Let me see if I can track it down. So he was talking to WIFN Fox. So he made the comment, like, I've been asked that so much recently. I think he was on some kind of a media tour for whatever reason, like doing a lot of different interviews. You know, it's one of those things. I'm sure a lot of people want to talk to him. Maybe his agent just kind of picked a day and was like, we're running the gauntlet today. I don't know. But there's an article here from sportsnot.com. Jason Burgo says, Josh Jacobs takes a subtle jab at Las Vegas Raiders while revealing key reasons for joining the Green Bay Packers. We already heard a couple reasons, right? He likes the area. He likes the people. He likes the teammates. He likes the locker room. He likes the whatever. It's all good. Let me scroll down a little bit here, read a little bit of this. It says, most assume that Jacobs chose to join Green Bay over re-signing with Las Vegas because of the money, and they would be right partially. During an appearance at a Milwaukee Fire Department house on Tuesday, he admitted being unwilling to get near his asking price played a major role in his choice to leave Vegas. So he asked for some money, Vegas wasn't willing to come anywhere near it, and he's like, screw it. However, it says, he also claimed the Las Vegas Raiders' instability in recent years And having another new head coach in 2024 helped make his case to move to Wisconsin easier. Quote, I would say one of the main reasons was just the certainty of what I'm going to get. There's already a lot of structure. There's already a lot of stuff in place. Having another new head coach over there, my fourth head coach while I was there, which is crazy, I never felt like there was any stability. And that was part of what I had kind of added into that. He adds on, just to be able to come into a place where you're not trying to pick up the pieces, you're not trying to build it out and see what works for us. We know what works. We're basically just trying to execute the game plan. I think that's the biggest difference. And interestingly enough, we know what works already in year 2 because we figured it out halfway through year 1. He's going through all these different head coaches. Why? Because they can't figure it out. They run through an entire year. They don't have anything. They have no identity. They have no offense or defense that works. They can't get anything going. They hire somebody else. This guy can't figure it out. Now, maybe they should give these guys a little bit more time to get in there or whatever, but that's all a part of the incompetence, whether it's the incompetence of the coaching staff, whether it's the incompetence of the ownership that constantly is cycling through people and not finding the right people. Ultimately, all of those head coaches and all of those faults fall on the leadership, the ownership, whatever. It's either a bad hire or it's a good hire and they didn't give him enough time. But again, I just keep coming back to me. There's a million and one reasons to be excited. But at the end of the day, the main reason for the excitement is that we are fans of a good organization. We just are. I'm not going to claim it's the best. I don't know what the best is. I don't know who the best owners and GMs and coaches are. But from top to bottom, from Mark Murphy down to Jordan Love, we've got some really good structure in place. And you don't have to have the best to win. You need to have a good structure. And if you have a good owner or president, and if you have a good GM, and if you have a good coach, and if you have a good quarterback, and you're a competent organization, and I think the Packers check all of those boxes. Again, not saying number one. I don't know if it's top 5 or what it is, but they are adequate. They are good at doing their job all the way down the line. And as long as that is the case, we are going to compete. I can't promise you we're going to win the Super Bowl this year or next year or the year after. I can't promise you we're even going to win the NFC North. I don't know if we're better than the Bears or better than the Vikings or better than the Lions. I don't know any of that stuff. But I know that we're in a position, and will be for a long time, to be able to compete. And ultimately, despite the fact that a lot of fans are not happy with anything but Super Bowls, and I'm sorry, I can never make them happy until the day we win a Super Bowl, be the one time that me and those fans can come together and shake hands and celebrate. But aside from that, I cannot make them happy. But at the end of the day, having a good enough organization that is capable of winning, going out and competing, is all you can ask for. Because it means we're probably going to be having another Super Bowl championship win at some point in the next, call it 10 years. Hopefully multiple, but I don't want to get greedy or anything. I mean, I do want to get greedy, but I won't. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. You guys have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you tonight, tomorrow, whatever. Have a good one. Bye-bye.